I don't know if we are. Is this working?
I don't know. I'm not on there.
I am at a loss at the moment. We had something come up last minute, and so it was. We were delayed, but now I don't know if this is working correctly. So as I'm trying to figure that out, I apologize for the upset. So we'll jump into this, and I think we'll see. Let me know, Jenna, if it's working in a second. So it
looks like it's working.
It is. Okay, cool. This is not working on Facebook. All right, whatever. So we'll just kick it off here. Jake, the podcast guy, can take it from here. It's been a hell of a week. It has been a draining week for me. I like to really, I was talking to my wife about this earlier. Like, I like to show up feeling the best that I can feel to like bring that energy with me. But this week has just been like one giant pain in the butt after another. And then like, even in trying to like, so here's why I'm sharing this, because I feel like some people might feel this also. And then we'll just switch into kind of what we typically do here. But like, it is when you are struggling, when school's not working the right way, when all of your attempts are sort of like whacked down like whack-a-mole. And then it's the season, right? Like where we are in Philly, it is colder than could be outside. It's
41 degrees, and I just was outside in the sun, and I thought, oh, it feels nice out here.
Yeah.
We're in that season.
Yeah, exactly. We're like, the last few days has been so windy, you couldn't even like take the dog for a walk because I thought he would blow away. So you're just kind of in this season of like, man, what are we going to do to kind of get out of this? Where, you know, so that's where we're at. Just want to be, this is trying to be as transparent as possible, but you know, it gets real around here. So that's why we call it Real Rap with Reynolds. So I think the question maybe is like, what are we doing going forward, and how are we trying to work this out? And you know, if the car ain't got gas, ain't nobody going anywhere. But my wife keeps saying you just keep going and going and going and going. So we'll see. We'll see if she's right.
I'm right. I'm always right.
If the car explodes. So
it won't.
All right, gang. If you've not been here before, this emo beginning is brought to you by Real Rap with Reynolds. We are a YouTube channel / everything else that we could try and do to really try to help teachers be the teachers they're called to be. That is why we started this whole venture, right? So there's a book that you can get on Amazon. You can sign up for mentoring. You can show up to this Sunday night. You can be a part of our Facebook group. You can find all of these things and even more. You have me come speak at your school. All these things exist on realrapwithreynolds.com. You can just go there and find out everything you could possibly need from us. So this, what we're doing here, if you've never been here before, is this is Sunday Night Teacher Talk, where we create this safe space for teachers to explore and express what's going on, how they're thinking, how they're feeling. And whether you're an educator now or you are dreaming of being an educator in the future, this is a place for you to show up to do two things. One, maybe get some guidance and inspiration and help that you need. And two, to be a part of our community, right? So like, I'm not the only person that's going to answer your questions. There's a ton of people in the comment section that show up every single week. And even if they don't show up every week, even if this is your first time, right? And someone says something and you're like, that I have an answer to. Give them an answer. Just share what's going on and how you can be a part of that. So that's where we're starting from. So we're using our Jen Jones Hello Literacy pad over there.
I love it.
Well done.
Comes in quite handy.
She's so great.
Thanks, Jen Jones.
Go ahead. What you got?
All right. Our first question comes from Kate. She is asking, how do you set boundaries during the day for the kids who need the most attention but aren't getting it anywhere other than you? Self-preservation. So,
Kate, I think one is remembering that, look, this sounds so mean, but I'm going to say it anyway. Kids are often a black hole of attention, right? It's like my dog. And am I relating my dog or equating my dog to my kids? In some respects, I am, right? My dog, I can never scratch him enough. He just wants to be scratched all the time. And I think sometimes kids, especially when you're coming from a deficit, you're constantly looking for love and attention and love and attention and love and attention, but you can't just do it all the time, right? So I think it is about us learning how to say no to kids when we need to say yes to us. And yeah, it's just hard. It's just a hard thing to do. But I know that like this year I haven't, like in past years, for years and years and years, I ate lunch with students. And I did that twice a day. And now I do it once a day, but that's because that's the only option I have. But I don't say yes to everyone. I have a system set up where I like only allow kids to come to my room that get a pass from me earlier, or that I've given out certain kids have passes that are like dudes that really, really need the space. I give those kids passes for the year. So it's like, here's your 2022 pass. And then everyone that doesn't have it, I just don't allow them to come in, because I know that they are going to either bring an energy, bring a behavior, bring something that I am going to actively have to work against. And I don't want to do that. I'm giving this gift to myself. I can create this space for the people that need it, but it's for the people that will use it correctly. It's not like everyone's invited kind of a thing. Because if I don't do that, then I will end up with classrooms that look like other classrooms in my school, where like teachers aren't paying attention and kids are playing dodgeball in class and breaking things and throwing things around and smashing things. And, I was having lunch with my students the other day, and I have these big giant windows on the side of my classroom. And as we're sitting there, like 100 pieces of paper just come raining down from some classroom above me. And that's what happened. There are other classrooms. There's a classroom next to me that the kids banged so hard on the wall the other day that we're messing around in there that my picture frames fell off the wall in my classroom. There have been classes that are in my room during the day that like I've broken, like a number of those floating bookshelves have been ripped off the wall recently and destroyed. So it's like, there are rooms like that. I don't want that room. We're keeping it cool, like the Fonz. And so that's what we kind of do. Then there's other boundaries of like 4th period and 8th period this year. There's no one in for right now, there's no one in my room. This has almost never happened before. And kids have tried to come in. Teachers have tried to bring kids in that like needed to, we're trying to get out of class or that needed something. And I tell them, nope, this is like, if you absolutely can't find another place, by all means. But if there's any other option, this is really what I'm trying to do, is create a safe space for teachers. Because what happens is like, we don't have a staff lounge at our school. There's no like, you literally are like sitting in the hallway or sitting in your car. So it's creating a space for just teachers to hang out during those periods. And that's been really good. And I'm not messing it up. So I think it's like figuring out during the year, what do you need? But then I think the other thing is this. It is telling kids when the options are that they can see you. So although not everyone can eat lunch with me, can we do hey, look, but come in after school. I'll be here after school. Like, let's chat then, or let's fill in our catch up then, or whatever it is. Come in during lunch. Come in the morning. Come in during like helping them to figure out times. And then I think it's also about building a team. It's helping kids to try and find other people, whether they're teachers, administrators, they are whatever it is, other kids, that you're trying to help them create a team so that you aren't the be all end all. And I realize that sometimes that's not going to happen. Like, we are the only ones. But it's seeing if it's asking kids, like, who else do you trust? Because it might not even be someone you'd pick. It might be someone the kids pick, right? It might be not even a teacher you thought anyone was going to really get down with. And so, but they do. So that's where I would go with that one.
All right. Our next question comes from Jacob. A teacher next door complains about the noise level in my class. Some vocab review games can get a bit loud, but most of the time my class is at a reasonable noise level. She still complains. Advice?
Oh, Jacob, this is the story of my life. Now, look, I think there's different kinds of noise levels, right? There's the kind that I'm saying that like comes out of other classes where things are banging so hard, stuff's falling off my walls. We get carried away in my class too. I would say, what can we do? Like, there's a couple things, right? One, I would say, is there a space or a place where like you could let the neighbors know that it's about to get rowdy in here and for this much time? That might just work, right? It might just be the unpredictability of it, right? So like right now, there are things that happen around my classroom that are wildly distracting. And if I knew that like it was only going to be for a certain amount of time, I could probably ride with it, right? So like they keep doing this thing with announcements in our school where you'll be in the middle of class, and for the first 2 periods, every 5 to 10 minutes, there's an announcement for students, certain group of students come down to the office. Like, why we can't just send an email out about this with all the there seems like there needs to be a better way. So I've emailed administration multiple times and asked them if there's a better way that we can do this. I get no response at all. So but if I knew that like, hey, listen, today, this is the only way we can do this. It's going to be 5 times during second period. We're going to make this announcement. And that is how it is. All right. Well, then I have my mind around the fact that it's going to be 5 times. I literally would count them down, or I would go, all right, every 5 minutes. So let me structure my day like this. Maybe that will work. The other thing is, I think it's talking to your students and saying like, look, I want to do this review, but we're a part of a community here. So we just can't have the noise level that we typically do, right? And it's about and it's really, I think it's really important to not have kids like tear down other teachers, because that's where it's generally going to go. Is they'll be like, oh, but Mr. So-and-so next door, he's such a buzzkill, or like, but we're having fun and we're learning. We get all this stuff. Like kids, we understand all of it. That we would have it that way also. Is there an alternative? So I would ask the students, what can we do? Does anyone have an idea of what we could do to do this? And let them help create that change. Maybe they say like, oh, maybe we could do like a silent version. Maybe we could go outside and do this real quick. Maybe we go to the lunchroom and we do this activity, or in the hallway, or, like every Monday we do this thing here. That's what I would think of, is like, where could we best do this, or how could we do it differently together would work. Because now I'm even thinking like, we've had a DJ in every Friday in our lunchroom during Black History Month, which is a great idea, unless your classroom is directly above the lunchroom, and then that's all you hear is like this bass booming for 2 hours in the lunchroom through all the different lunch periods. So if I need to do something quiet, if I need to create a better testing environment for my students that are taking assessments on Friday, I just try and think of like, all right, well, what could we do to make this work? And that's been good so far. So I think, if that doesn't work, please let me know. I'd love to be able to follow up with you and see what does work and what we could do to make that happen. But I think those are two, like, to really set you off on the right foot.
All right. Our next question comes from Summer Hayward. She's asking best ways to have a conversation with admin on why you are looking at other jobs, especially when they are a big part of why you are leaving. I don't want to burn a bridge or get bad references.
So Summer, I'll say this. This year has been so utterly horrendous at my school that there's more teachers leaving this week that I know about. Someone left a few Fridays ago and just left. They didn't give notice, nothing. We saw them carrying their stuff out the door on Friday. In dealing with that, I have gone to, and I've talked about this before, I've gone to all these different people, like in administration and beyond. So when I gave my notice, when they had the form that came out that said, like, do you intend to return next year? Which I think, I realize that most schools don't do this, but like, if you've ever worked at a school that is like, has high tier teachers.
Is that true that most schools don't do return to intent?
No, because everybody intends to return.
Oh, that's so funny.
No,
I didn't know that.
You're only when you teach in like a school like mine, right? Like, and I mean like a school that has high turnover, or like has trouble keeping teachers.
For your whole career. That's why I'm laughing.
Every year, it's in April, they start talking about,
I thought that was standard.
Are you going to come back next year? Yo, you coming back next year? That's what everyone is doing on the low. But the school sends out a form. The form doesn't usually come out till April, end of April, right? This year came out the end of January. That is a telltale sign of where things are. So when I went in and I told I filled out the form, I didn't even give a reason, because I feel like I've done it already. Now, look, I hope my school has there's some sort of resurrection. I hope that it comes back. I hope that it does well. So I don't know that you have to give a reason. I think sometimes it comes down to some are like, look, my job's not the worst job I ever worked in my life. I think still, like, I've done worse jobs. It's just deeply disappointing. It's not on mission with what I want to do. And I think that that's what you share. Like when I was asked by my assistant principal, I didn't tell her anything. I didn't feel like I needed to share anymore. I already let people know that needed to know. But I think it comes down to this, Summer. One, do you have to tell them? Right? One. Two, does it have to be like it could just be that this doesn't align with what I feel called to do anymore. Or like this is like not I have a different vision of what I'd like to be able to do in the classroom and do with students and help kids with. And this doesn't align anymore. I think sometimes it's having sort of that where you're not like making them feel bad or pointing the finger or blaming, even though that might feel like what you want to do and justified. But like it's at the end of the day, the thing that aggravates me is not just poor leadership, not bad decision-making skills, not all the stuff that's happened that's wrong this year. It's that we are not making a strong place for students to grow and learn. We're not making a place that teachers want to return to. If our mission is college acceptance for students and getting them prepared for college and beyond, we're not on that mission right now. And so I think what we're actually doing is damaging kids, but I don't even have to, I've said that to people that need to hear it, but it's like, nope. I feel called elsewhere. I feel called to do like slightly different work. The end. That's where I would leave that. If you need to, like, and you get another job and you can write I think there's something about like writing a respectful letter of resignation to let them know like where you're coming from, and why you left. I think that is doable too. Look, not all conversations are nice, but we can still stand up for ourselves with respect, with respect for others. And so I think that it's trying to groom yourself and come out of that place instead of, for me, this is me attaching my own crap to it and not just the anger that I'm dealing with currently.
Maisha said their intent form came out early this year as well.
Yeah.
I think that's probably pretty common. Okay. Shayna is asking, she's next, and she's asking, I am supposed to get a returning student in high school to resource math. He has a lengthy discipline record. What is the best way to welcome him back? I have never met him.
So Shayna, I think this is one of those moments where not everyone gets dealt with the same, right? When I have had kids that have come back from maybe like some sort of disciplinary school, maybe from like a school that has provided like a deep amount of therapy and sort of really tried to help students sort of recalibrate. When those kids come back, I don't welcome them the way that I do everyone else, which is usually like, oh, look, we have somebody new in class. Oh, I'm so great you're here. Like, it's me being like on 11. It is more like they come in, I say, hey, look, it's your first day. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to have you just sit like at my desk or on the couch. Just kind of take it in for the day. See how this kind of rolls. I'm not going to expect you to do anything or participate in anything because we're in the middle of something anyway that I'd have to catch up on. But I'm going to take 5 minutes at the end of class and I'll introduce you to what's going on. At that point, they kind of get to see the day, see how I roll, see how I get along with other students. There's zero pressure on them. And then at the end, I just kind of ask questions about them. Like, so, hey, you're coming back to school. Like, and I always, I play myself up all the time. I go, listen, and you won the lottery because you got me as a teacher. And I want to make sure that you have the greatest year you could possibly have. And I want to make sure that your transition into this, into our school now is going to be the best that it could be. So here's how we're going to do that. You need to know that this is my room and I'm in here all the time. And if you don't have a room, you know, to fill in the gaps and changes as necessary. If you can't find a classroom, if you don't know where the bathroom is, you can't find the nurse, you need a tissue, you can't get into your locker, you need extra help on damn near anything, let me be your point person. I'm more than happy to help with anything that I can help with. My only goal here is for you to be successful. That's all I care about. So what we're going to do tomorrow is I'm going to find ways to start easing you into the content that we're doing to see like how we can get this in, because we read and we read novels. And so if we're in the middle of a novel, then that's problematic. But we'll figure out a way to kind of get you there. But I'm really, really glad that you're here. And I'm really glad that you're a part of our class. If you need anything, please let me know. And then going forward, it is saying hi to that kid as much as possible in the hallway. I'd find a reason to say hi to that kid 3 more times that day. Then I would call home and just say, it's, I've talked about this a lot, but it's just saying, hey, this is who I am. This is what I care about. I care about your kid. I care about them being successful. I got all the paperwork. I got all the emails. I got all the stuff. Is there anything I need to know about your child to help them be as successful as possible this year? Like, what are they good at? What do they struggle with? What does the paperwork not say? So you're doing a couple of things, because undoubtedly that kid is going to go home and someone at home is going to say that the teacher called already. And now it's like, what teacher? Oh, Reynolds. Oh yeah. And that dude like had a whole conversation with me and then said hi to me 3 other times in the hallway. And now he's calling my mom or whatever, or whoever's at home. Like, what the hell? Like, and then ask some some questions that like have never been asked of a parent ever, probably. It is creating that connection piece, so that going forward, that kid feels supported, the family feels supported, and you've already put things in place where the first call home isn't going to be a bad one, especially from a kid that has a lengthy discipline record. You're already putting it out there that I care. I just want your kid to win. So if something does come up, it's, hey, I'm noticing these sorts of patterns. If you have any insight on this, if you can give me anything to go off of on this to try and help, awesome. If not, I just want you to know, because maybe you guys can talk about this at home or something like that. And that's it. So then you're in a good space to start the rest of the year and to try and help that kid find success.
All right. Our next question comes from Miss
Gonzalez.
Miss Gonzalez. She's asking, this is a 2-parter. Our school implemented a program called ZAP, Zeros Aren't Permitted, which means kids who are failing will be pulled out of electives on Fridays to get caught up. Guess what? Those kids are also failing my class. Go figure. Now that they are missing more time from our classes and further behind, what do you suggest we elective teachers do?
I think the elective teachers need to get together and have a conversation, because we as a culture and as a schooling system constantly treat electives like they're less than. We treat like when we call them those classes, we called them specials growing up, right? So it was like, you had, what's your special day? Oh, do we have art? Do we have this extra science class that we get to take, which we had the science class that was just super fun and stuff. We did like weird experiments, or like gym or music or whatever it is.
Shop, home ec.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't exist anymore.
No, they don't. There's someone out there. No, who's my
they
guy?
Exist in private schools.
Home ec does exist, but shop I don't think exists anywhere unless you're in vocational school. But it's really getting clear on like, what are our expectations here? Are we being taken seriously as a class, and do we value the things that kids can learn in this class or not? So just because they are not tested subjects, right, on some sort of state level, doesn't mean that they don't bring an enormous amount of value to students. And as a matter of fact, I know for sure that like if my brother got pulled out of band every day when we were growing up, he would have just not come to school. He would have just been like, nope. And I know teachers.
It is the thing that I argued in IEP meetings, that I'm like, you are not allowed to take my kid and give him extra work and take away his electives,
or take away like
his reading tutoring, or his work doing him like, tutoring for that he needed. I'm like, I'm not penalizing.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't think even kids who are failing should be penalized with their electives.
No. Or have like
terrible idea.
Playtime or recess taken away from them. Those things should never be taken away. If you're in recess and you punch a kid and you have to sit against the wall or whatever, like you did it yourself. But like, I don't think, because I think those things help academics. So I would get those teachers together. I would have a real conversation. Look, if not everyone wants to participate, then whatever, but like get the folks together that are willing to get together And then I would go to the administration or to the board or whatever, whoever's in the decision-making space. Not like you don't want to talk to their people. You want to talk to the people that make the decisions and say, like, what are we telling students and what are we telling teachers when we have these conversations? And then can you all come up with a better solution? Or so it's like, here's why we are important. Here's a better solution for this. So I'll tell you, like, one of the things I found that really helps is we do mandatory after school stuff. So after school, this is mandatory, like 40 minutes of checking in with a teacher, seeing where your grades are, seeing what is missed, seeing what could be made up. So kids have a plan, right? So they see, like, here's where you're at. And some kids already know this, and it just annoys them. And the annoyance of having to do this is like enough for them to get it together so they don't have to listen to you and annoy them. But some kids just don't even have a plan or don't realize that, like, oh, if I just change these two things, if I actually just showed up to class on time, like, that would be better. So maybe we need to talk about, like, is everyone showing up to class on time? We saw a big switch in grades when we started doing Friday reflections. So if you go on our website, realrapwithreynolds.com, there's a Friday reflection sheet in our resources area that is free. And it just has kids, like, it holds a mirror up to their week. What went well? What didn't go well? What did we learn this week? Where's my grade? What did I miss? What can still be handed in? If you're failing, you have to have that paper signed by a parent over the weekend or a guardian and then bring it back on Monday. If you don't, then I'm going to call home, let them know that you didn't do this. I just send, like, an email to all the parents that do it. And then we don't have that problem anymore. That could even be an email that, like, look, if you're failing, you're going to fill this document out. Then you're going to email it to me and to a parent at the same time. You're going to CC me on this. And then your parent just has to respond that they got it, and I'll give you credit for doing it. But I think that there are 1,000 other ways to deal with a situation like that than to take away electives and then keep treating teachers like they don't matter, that their class doesn't matter, when in fact that might be the thing that matters to kids and makes them want to show up. So I don't know that taking it away from them is going to be the thing that makes them show up for other classes. I think we need to get to the root of some of those issues and see what's going on.
I just want to say that 2 people in our comment section said that they have shop at their schools.
Love it, man.
Someone said they were in Texas, though. And
no, that's awesome, though. I think that's great.
I think it's so good.
There's so much value in
I love shop class. I made a lamp.
All my friends just made marijuana paraphernalia all the time.
Oh, goodness. Okay, let's move
on.
Didn't. All right. Meg is asking, first-year teacher here, started the year strong, going above and beyond in every way possible. But as the year goes on, I'm realizing that the standards I set are unsustainable. And that's 2-part wrong. Where are you, Meg? And I'm starting to burn out with directing the school musical, being in a long-distance marriage, and doing all the regular teacher stuff. I just can't do the extras I used to do. How do I explain this to folks? I'm sure.
All right. So I don't even know what that last word was.
Oh, I found it. To the kids without being unprofessional.
Meg, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. And I think when we start off and we teach, it's so exciting. Everything's exciting, right? You want to do all the stuff. You want to do all the cool things at once. And without being, going beyond student teacher boundaries, I teach high school. Right. So Sorry. It is, no, that's cool. I know the word limit on the thing is problematic.
Sometimes you have an afterthought.
Look, this is why I don't use Twitter, bro, because I can't. It's like too limiting to me. So I think this, Meg, I think, I don't even know that you have to explain anything to anyone. Again, you need to know what's right for you. And if you do have to explain it, it's like, hey, look, I bit off more than I could chew. And you have 2 options when you bite off more than you can chew. You can swallow it down or you can spit part of it out. And they're both kind of gross, but you got to pick one of them to do anyway. So it's figuring out, what do you really want to do and what's actually doable. Don't play the game where you're like, well, I could do that, because you're going to have a good day one day, and in that good day, you're going to go, well, yeah, I could do it. I say no to everything anymore, right? Everything. And part of that is because I'm running this business outside of school. And so I literally have a job after school that I have to go to every single day. So I don't have the luxury in like even taking on other stuff, right? But it is when I do that, what that allows me to do by saying no to everything, right? I don't sign up. I had one Saturday school I had to sign up for this year. I'm not taking any more on, even though they needed people really, really bad. But that's because everybody quit and they didn't have anybody to fill in those gaps anymore, or they had gaps now to fill. I used to like fix things in the school. I used to run all kinds of clubs, all kinds of extracurricular activities, all kinds of like low key, unofficial, like running a store at the school. I built all the sets for the plays and they were epic. You're constantly doing this stuff and it's really fun until you realize that you only have so much gas to get you somewhere. So I think especially in your first few years, it's figuring out what you can do and doing it really well. Like, wouldn't it be a really good gift to your students, even if you just showed up, taught class really well, and even if you were involved in the musical or a play or something of that nature, you were doing that to the level at which you can do it. And then over time, here's what's going to happen, Meg. You get better at doing things, right? So like I cannot cook. If my wife told me we have HelloFresh, right? So it already comes. It's already like the painting kit already showed up for tonight's dinner. So for those of you that don't know, HelloFresh is like you get this card. It's really simple directions. They tell you how long it's going to take. It tells you exactly how to do it. Then you make it and it comes out great. I would be cooking HelloFresh for 3 hours. It would like no one would even be hungry, or my kids would be perished from starvation by then. My wife just gets in there. All right. Magical meal, looks beautiful, looks like the friggin' picture, right? She even sets it up and she makes everything with love. She tells us all the time. So I'm putting some drizzle and some love on this. And but she has been cooking for a long time. She knows what she's doing. She doesn't have to think. Like, I'd be like, if it says preheat oven, I'd be like, how long? What does that even mean? Preheated? Is there post-heating activity also? Like, my head isn't there. But even in school, like I've just gotten better that my co-teacher and I threw together this project the other day that we just thought of. And in 15 minutes, we had it fleshed out and was ready to roll because we're reading of Mice and Men. We were talking about the American dream. Then we were talking about what if we had the kids come up with their own version of a dream? Like, what is their dream? What does their vision board have to look like? Oh, let's do a vision board activity. Yeah, we're going to like, and we'll connect it with like their why and like what their motivation is and what they envision their life about, and then have them like do all these things to like see what that would really be like. And it was so fun. And it took like 10 or 15 minutes for us to do like to flesh out the whole thing. When I started teaching, that would have been like a whole friggin' weekend or 2 full weekends of me. All right, well, what's the best place to post this and do this and create this and all this stuff? But now we just rock and roll and come up with it. So it is getting good at, look, I think it's this, Meg. It's you getting better at you. And then using that in the classroom and realizing that teaching is a craft and everything takes time. Real quick, I'll tell you this, and James Pete would appreciate this, but one of my favorite groups of all time is Van Halen. One time, David Lee Roth was asked, so Van Halen has a song called Running with the Devil, which is not my favorite title, but they Running with the Devil, they told an interviewer that it took 8 minutes to write that song. It's like one of their most iconic songs of all time, 8 minutes. And he said, but it didn't just take 8 minutes, right? Like that's what time it took to write the song. It took, 25, 30 years to be able to do that, right? So it was all of this cross-train. Everything in your life is cross-training all the time. So it took us like how long playing with your guitar and your drums and your bass, how long us working together, how much of us pulling in inspiration and learning about ourselves and our abilities and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. So we got to this place where it was like, yeah, 8 minutes, we wrote a song, right? So it's like, I think it's getting better at being you and becoming the best version of yourself and cutting out all the things that you can't do so that you can put time into yourself and into the things that are imperative in your classroom, and then taking that version of you. And in the next few years, you'll find that you can take on far more stuff than you ever could. And although I don't sign up for anything anymore, I'm constantly doing things. but I just don't like formally signing up for things anymore. I like being kind of the hired gun when something's going down in the hallway and I see a kid getting in trouble. I know I don't have a club after school to do this with. So I have the time to go sit with you for 30 minutes and do that. If I know a teacher was crying today and all their stuff came flying out the window, I have time to go speak with them and help them out and help them plan through a lesson or a classroom management system or something like that, where I'm able to try and do that with teachers. So I don't, but there's no like official sign up for that. So that's why I don't do it.
All right, our next question. How do you handle a difficult parent that feels they can teach the class better than the teacher? And often goes
That's the second time I almost spilled up water today.
And often goes to the principal with these complaints / suggestions.
God bless him. You know what? I'm going to say this. First of all, Desiree's name, your name looks so complicated, but it's really like, I've had a whole bunch of students with that name. I've never seen it spelled like that before, but it's really kind of beautiful. Anyway, that's my ADD. Like, oh, look at that name. Look, I think part of it is I think there's two different ways you can look at this, right? I've had these parents before, where they think they can do a better job than you do. And you know what, to be honest, maybe you can. Maybe you're actually better than I am at this. But guess what? I'm showing up every day. I'm the one showing up to do this job every day. It is maybe taking those things into consideration and thinking like, look, the education system is broken. And there's a parent out there that's trying and make this better, to do better for their kid, because they don't want their kid to get left behind, right? Especially like if your kid, so when I talk to moms about this, I mean, we have parents that are like legitimately concerned because of where our students come from, because of the violence that exists in Philadelphia, especially in West Philadelphia, North Philadelphia, because of, like the teacher turnover, because there's all these kind of red flags, and they're like, no, not my kid. My kid is going to like, I'm going to help you you are going to give my kid the best education they can, no matter what. And I deal with those moms. Or I think the flip side is we just like, you can get aggravated by it. And I realize that the alternative isn't easy, right? It is, to the best of your ability, letting folks know what you're willing to do, what you're willing to kind of deal with. And then I think it's about if you have someone that's really, really overstepping, then it is going to your administration and saying like, how are we navigating this? Because, I'm feeling like I'm getting this pressure from a parent that's not even in my classroom. And it's probably one of those people that's like advocating for cameras in the classroom. What do we do about this? And then if maybe you have a great admin and they're going to help you with that, and maybe you don't, in which case I think you surround yourself with all the teachers that are probably getting the same stuff from this parent on some level. Find the people that are, and then figure out an issue, like figure out a way that you're going to deal with it just on your own. But I think that it feels to me more of an administrative issue of like an admin drawing the line and kind of holding teachers to that, or holding parents to it, not teachers. Yeah, but it is, so it's kind of like sometimes if you can do it, that's bothering me that's happening, that you're doing that. My ADD is on edge. Is trying to find an answer that's going to help the parent. It's not getting too caught up in like whatever they're doing is like what they're doing, and it's like, listen, I'm going to keep doing what I do. Like this is how I roll. This is how I teach. This is how I am educating. If you think you can do a better job, sign up. The application is on the website. And then I just don't care. Like I can write that off sometimes. And then other times it is, we need to figure out something because this is potentially dangerous. Or parents are overstepping, or I feel like you're trying to get me fired or whatever it is. It's like, all right, then we got to bring in somebody else to talk about this. And that's what I would do.
All right. Next question comes from Zoe. I'm having really bad imposter feelings at the moment, especially as other people I trained with are leaving the profession. How do you make sure you feel capable and are in the right place?
So, oh man, I'm really sorry that's happening. First of all, I think imposter syndrome is such an interesting thing. I heard it one time. It was Henry Rollins, who was lead singer of a punk band called Black Flag. And so Henry Rollins was in this interview and he's talking about how one time his group, the Rollins band, got asked to open up for Black Sabbath. Black Sabbath had just gotten back together. They hadn't been together in a really long time. And so Henry Rollins, it's the first gig. They go out, they give it their all. They go backstage and he meets Ozzy Osbourne for the first time, lead singer of Black Sabbath. And Ozzy Osbourne goes, "Hey man, thanks so much for doing the show for us. Look, hey, what's the crowd like? Like, was there anyone out there?" And Henry Rollins thinks like, "What are you talking about? Like, of course they're there. Like, you're one of the most iconic rock bands of all time. It's packed to the gills and people are crazy." But to Ozzy Osbourne, it was just like this constant, never-ending battle with like, are we really supposed to be here? Are we really good enough? Are we, like, do we have like, what's this? What is that kind of like that self-worth inside that narrative, that soundtrack that you're telling yourself? I think, look, it's no different. I mean, I deal with it all the time. And I like when you write a book about education and then you're just like, someone's going to figure me out at some point. But we forget that our ordinary is someone else's extraordinary. And so I would say this, that it's really important to just show up and to get super hyper focused on your students. That's the only thing that you can do in school. It's really just you. It's not even how your students are going to take any particular lesson or activity or project or anything seriously, right? You can't really even control that, but you can control you. You can control what you're showing up like. You can control how you feel. So look, maybe this is something that you just need to like up the self-care. And when I say self-care, I don't mean sitting on the couch and watching Netflix. Maybe talk to a therapist, maybe talk to an academic coach at your school, or reach out to someone that you knew in college that can maybe help you out with some things so that you're doing the best job that you can do. And look, people are leaving not because this work's not important, but it's because they are no longer a good fit for the place that they're in. If you feel like you can still do that, right? Like I have no intentions of staying at my school this year at this point. It is hard and fast. I will not return there next year. But that doesn't mean that I just want the school to go away. It doesn't mean I want everyone else to leave and to pursue something else. I think that it is really looking at where do you fit? Is this a good fit for you? And if it's not, perhaps looking at other jobs, right? And seeing what else is out there. But it is about figuring out what's best for you. Teachers have I think they constantly are looking at how they can do for others and forget to do for themselves. And they forget that if you don't do for yourselves, then you can't do for others. And I realize how weary that is. But it is like, I think trying to become the best version of you. And I just think that's always the answer. Look, I'll say this. This hit me this week. I was listening to some podcast. I can't even remember who it was with. But the guy said, if you had it was, what do you wish you had done differently when you were younger? Is there anything you kind of regret that, like in building your business or whatever it was that he was doing? And the guy said, look, the best investment you can ever have, like the best number one thing you can ever invest in is yourself. And I've heard that a million times. But but the way he broke it down, he said, look, if you take a course, you read a book, you take a class, you go to a conference, you do anything, you're only going to be better after doing that, right? Even if some books, it's only an incremental difference, or it's like you grow 1%, sometimes you grow 10%, sometimes it's life-changing, but it is constantly just trying to get better. And when we do that, we don't have a choice but to get better, right? Sometimes things hit you and you just start doing them a slightly different way. You look at things a slightly different way. You grow a little bit. So it's like putting into you so you can constantly keep growing and changing and evolving and optimizing into the best version of yourself. Then all of the other things around you get better. And I'll tell you this, it's not just you getting better at your job. It's you become a person that, and this sounds a little woo-woo, but you start putting off an energy that people want to be around. They want to not quit because they love teaching with you. I love teaching around you. I love being across the hall from you. I love hearing what you're doing in class. I love when you walk into, everyone knows that person that walks into a meeting, or they walk into a room, or they walk into a party, and it just changes the energy in the best way possible. Like, oh, damn, you're here. Like, oh, man. It's who everyone wants to talk to. It's who everyone, like, whatever it is about them, they shift that energy, and it makes it even more magical that they're there. And so I think it's about figuring out, how do you become the most magical version of yourself? Because then school is, in many ways, sort of it just gets all of the overflow of that love that you're putting into yourself. Yes.
You forget that you use that word all the time.
I do. Oh, say overflow?
Yes.
When the toilet's clogged?
Not that
it's
kind
overflow.
Of that's worse. Let's go to our next question.
Let's go.
This is from Steph Shook. She is asking, totally different kind of question, how to help with a puppy with separation anxiety. She rescued it yesterday, and it gets upset if I just go to the bathroom. Worried about Tuesday going back to school.
Steph,
put your shirt in there. That's how, like, our dog, like, when we first got him, he had to stay downstairs. That's where the crate was. And so we crate trained him. And the first night, he whimpered and whined and was so sad and had such separation anxiety. And I put my shirt in there. I literally took my shirt off, put a different one on, and took that one off and put it downstairs in his crate. And that did the trick.
Yep.
I don't know if it's going to be that simple with yours, but I hope it is. I don't have any other advice because that's what we did worked.
When I go on the road and speak professional development things, I come home and I find some of my laundry in the bed that my wife is sleeping.
I take CJ's dirty laundry and I just put it in the bed next to me in case of emergencies.
It is, yeah, I think, and look, I'm wondering what you do with your separation anxiety from the dog, because that's what I definitely got after a year and a half of teaching online. But some of it is your dog just needing to see that you're going to constantly come back. Yeah. Right. So it's like making sure that you're not staying too late at school, making sure you're showing back up, making sure you're loving your dog. I have a friend that never gives his dog treats even. Because Duresta does, well, he's not really my friend. He's the guy that I watch on YouTube, but I don't know why I said that. Duresta, his wife found that, like, just loving your dog, like, so if they go out and pee, if they do the right thing, it's loving on them a lot, and they love that so much that you don't have to give them a treat. And that's a whole, like, dog psychology.
That's really interesting that you say that, because I always wonder why Bentley, like, looks at me. I turn it into a bad thing. When he's eating his dinner or his food, he always wants to eat when I'm cooking. So if I'm cooking dinner, I always feel guilty, like he's looking at me like, I have to eat this crappy dog food, and here you are making something.
I always think of it as like, he's like, nah, here we are here together. You're cooking. We're doing it together at the same time.
That's how you look at it, and the way I look at it. No, and
it's like when the kids get weirded out when he poops and he stares at you. And I'm like, and I read about this, and dogs are very vulnerable when they're pooping. Right? I don't know where this went, but dogs are really vulnerable when they're pooping, so they stare at you in your eyes because they need to know that you have their back. And so I used to think it was weird, but now I just stare right at him, and I go.
Well, so that's what I need to do with Bentley when he's eating.
Bro. I got you.
When he's eating, I just need to congratulate him and, like, praise him a ton, apparently, and he'll happily eat his food. I guess. Oh my gosh, that was a fun segue.
Staring into his dark, big eyes when he's taking a poop.
I'm looking for a question. There was lots of chatter going on in here.
There should be,
which is great. I love it.
I know. I always feel like we could just leave. We could just sign off and leave it open for like 30 minutes after we're done.
I scrolled so far. There is not. There is not.
Like, if I could make the song, because on the platform we use, I can only make the song a certain length at the end. It's like 30 seconds or something like that. And I always think, damn, I wish it was longer, because I just want people to be able to, like, say goodbye or talk or chat or whatever.
Nobody has any questions for you. I literally scroll down to the bottom and there's no.
Look, can we even just know that? Though. It's so wonderful, because it's really like people are here for one another. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's so great. So, well, look, it's 2:00 anyway. We're 49 minutes in.
You were 10 minutes late.
I was 10 minutes late, yes. But it is what it is, gang. Tomorrow is President's Day here in the United States. So we have off anyway, and there's nothing like a Sunday when you know you have off on Monday. And then we have the next 5 weeks with no breaks at all. And the school used to have, we had a floater date. It was the birthday of Rome, which I don't think anyone really knew when the birthday was, and no one was really paying attention. So our former administration would just plug it in anywhere to just have a day. So we have a shorter week or a 3-day weekend or something like that. And we got rid of that this year. So now we have 5 straight weeks of learning, which means you get through a lot of stuff, but damn, that's a long time, bro.
So I asked you a question. She said, why is canteen food always so bad?
It just...
I don't know. It doesn't even sound appetizing.
No,
canteen.
Not at all schools. Sometimes it's good. When I went to Radnor, that stuff looked like a food court, man. It was beautiful there. And they had great looking food. It looked like Hogwarts. Not here. We have it's bad.
Prison food.
Yeah. I know. I think that might actually be better. I have never been to prison yet, but
I don't think we plan.
No, I don't plan. It's not on my bucket list or anything like that. We good?
We're good.
All right, cool. Gang, we'll be back. I hope that this is a great week for you. I have some definite ideas of things I need to pour into myself this week. And that's kind of where we're at for right now. But I hope that, if you're feeling great, let everybody know about it. If you're struggling, let somebody know about it. Share that stuff, because you're either going to put off something that's really great and it's going to uplift other people around you, or you're going to be open and vulnerable and share what's going on and try and get some help with the things that you're dealing with in your life. And both of those only will ever turn out well, because you're doing the work. So that's it, gang. We will see you next week, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.